Alrighty, hello. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Huh, Buckles? This is Sergeant Buckles. Whenever I say, Sergeant Buckles, report for duty, he comes to me. He's a very good boy. So, today we're going to be talking about addiction. Huh. Um, so, hi, Londonderry Danny, how are you? I'm going to sit you down, bud. Also, what do you think of the topic today, since we're going to be talking about addiction? I said that a little bit more cheerfully than I feel like the tone of this might sound, but um, I'm going to open up a lot during the stream. I'm really excited for it, and I genuinely think that this helped me looking up stuff about this, and I'm really excited to share all this with you and to hear your guys' experiences or how this resonates with you. Louis the Claw says, hi, Shorty Pop. Oh, I'm so glad you can make it, Louis. Londonderry Danny says, I am well and that this is always relevant. Yes. It is comforting to know that you guys relate to this in a solidarity type way because I struggle with this too. Um, so yeah. Also, hi Chad. I'm glad that you could make it. I'm so glad that all you guys could come, even though I've been taking a hiatus. Like the fact that you guys still show up means a lot. And Kay is okay. Says, hey, howdy, welcome back to Twitch. Well, thank you. I'm really glad you guys came. And VI Falcon says, hello, Shorty Pop fam. I'm gonna rock some peace signs for reading that one. All right, so what's up, you guys? Yeah. What do you guys think of the topic? We're gonna be. It's funny. After I was doing research for this, I got a lot of targeted advertising. Google is very concerned for me. So during this stream, we're gonna learn about how to work towards recovery and also how to like help maybe friends or loved ones that you know that might be going through this as well. So also, if you're struggling, here are some organizations you can check out after the stream. I had a really fun idea of doing a raffle where I raffle off one of my paintings, and the money would go towards one of these charities. To Write Love on Her Arms is a really good one. It helps people with addiction, self-harm, depression, suicide. If you're looking for allies, like support groups, whether you're gay or in the LGBT plus umbrella during Pride Month. That is always really good. And also people struggling with addiction. Anytime you need allies, this is a great resource for that. Faces and Voices of Recovery, if you're coping with like a loved one suffering from addiction, there's a resource that I'm going to put these all in the YouTube descriptions. So what do you guys think? Like, would you guys be interested in if I did a raffle and like raised money for one of these charities? I felt like that was really relevant to this stream, and I want to know what you guys thought. This is why you use DuckDuckGo and use doing research or looking up porn. That's another one. Um, yeah. And as always, the sources I used will be in the YouTube description. Here's some sources I used. I tried to do like more peer-reviewed stuff than just like Wikihow, but I couldn't resist using at least one Wikihow article. So I'll post all of those. Anyway, so without really jumping into it yet, what do you think addiction is? Like, if you had to define it, what do you think addiction is, and when do you think it's a problem? Um, I feel like sometimes I ask myself this a lot, like, hey, am I struggling with addiction with this thing? Is this becoming a problem? Whether it's my phone or the internet or, smoking weed or drinking or whatever vice that I develop, I start to wonder, like, when is this going to become a problem? So what do you guys think that defines addiction? Um, so, um, one really interesting thing that I learned about addiction is that I always thought, so I used to think like, oh, if I just get sober for so long, it'll just magically be easy. I didn't realize it was like a chronic thing that you had to constantly manage. Um, and, but it's treatable. And we're going to focus on that. And I really think that this is going to have a positive impact, hopefully for a lot of people who watch this. Um, let's see. Legendary Deity says maybe just using something as a coping mechanism to the point where it has negative consequences. That's a good point. Yeah, the negative consequences, that's a big one too. That's a really great observation, Danny. Louis the Claw says, I think addiction is the point when a behavior becomes automatic, when I may start to lose control over limiting it. That is actually another one of the, so there's like several defining things, but Danny, you got one of them, so that's totally good job with that. Louis the Claw, definitely when it becomes automatic, compulsive, you feel like you can't stop doing it, even though it has these negative consequences. So, combining basically what Louis and Danny had said, Danny says, I think that's the basic universal one. Liberace says, I feel like addiction can become a problem when the thing prevents you from your responsibilities to a severe extent. That's another thing with as far as the negative side, the negative consequences. It can be from health reasons, financial reasons, relationships you have with other people, and your responsibilities. Maybe you're going to work high. Maybe you're losing your job. Maybe you like were too drunk to take care of somebody or help somebody out that you promised you would help or whatever. Um, so yeah, I feel like oh wait, did I read? Okay, Legendary Danny says I think that technically the consequences is the main issue, but losing control over it is really important also. Yeah, I think both of those are really, you guys actually just like nailed a lot of the key points of like what addiction is. So good job, you guys. Like you get fucking a super smiley face for the day. Uh, that's what my violin teacher does whenever do a good job. She puts a little super smiley on my music work. So you guys get a super smiley. But yeah, uh, another like causes of it too. So we talked about how it's compulsive. It's you continue it during despiteful like psychological, physical consequences. Um, some of the causes are, if you have a family history of addiction, if you have a mental health disorder, maybe you are dealing with peer pressure, or you're using something that's highly addictive. So in what ways might you resonate with these predispositions to addiction? Um, I went to, I was in a 12-step program for a little while, and I asked people like when did they start like indulging in this sort of stuff, and it was really shocking to me how many of them said somebody introduced it to them when they were younger. um so I think like that peer pressure thing, maybe having like bad influences, or if you grew up with your family doing stuff like that, it was really shocking to see how prevalent that was. And like I said, I'm going to be opening up a little bit more in this one. So, yeah. Um, so I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of those predispositions. I don't know about you guys. And do you guys like, what do you guys think is like the difference between addiction and misuse? Um, I definitely can think of times where I misused something that maybe I wasn't addicted to. Um, or times whenever I didn't realize I was addicted to something and thought maybe every once in a while I overindulged or whatever. So I think it's good to know the differences between the two. Um, Basically, misuse is maybe you're using high doses in inappropriate situations. Like, for instance, recently I got drunk and I threw up outside because I didn't realize, which was such a fucking, it felt like I felt like a college student. But I didn't realize how strong the drinks were that I was drinking. and I realized, okay, that's like too much. I'm not going to drink again. So I misused it, but I'm not like getting wasted every single night or something like that. That would be an addiction. Um, and say if like somebody you care about is struggling with addiction, you could, set a good example, listen to them, and have a strong bond with them, but don't be judgmental. Um, you could be addicted to a lot of different things: gambling, food, internet, your cell phone, gaming, sex, substances, spending money. Do you guys feel dependent or concerned that maybe you might be dependent to any of those? Or have you had any history of that in the past? I've been addicted to all but one of those, so not this is why I can't download TikTok. I know I'll never stop using it. That's one thing. But I recognize that I definitely have an addictive personality, so I don't know how much you guys resonate with that. Liberace says misusing something feels like when I'll come up with any excuse to use whatever I'm addicted to. Um, oh, that's actually, yeah, that's a good point. That actually reminds me of this song. It's an AJR song, and I'm trying to think of the lyrics. It's something like, um, we smile at party time, but soon we forget to smile at anything else. And I think, I've talked to friends like one of my friend was struggling, and I said, "Oh, like, what do you think of like doing this instead? Maybe going for a walk, maybe doing this hobby that you enjoy." And he was like, "Well, I could do that, but it always seems like that would be more enjoyable if I also like got high beforehand." So it's really, you're right, like giving yourself an excuse to do that whenever. Um, I think that makes sense. I think that is whenever it starts to become addictive too, honestly, because it's almost a compulsion. So I don't know. It's like a weird, like blurry line sometimes. Louis the Claw says, "Yeah, I have some dependencies. I've had that ornery feeling that I haven't played a video game in a while. I actually experienced it again recently." Uh, Louis, I actually remember you talking about how you had uh, problems with gaming. Like you were gaming a lot. Um, and ways that it affected you. And it's interesting you talking about how you experienced that again recently. Would you say that that urge to overindulge in playing video games has become less prevalent as time goes on? Or what do you think triggers that desire to get back into gaming? Ooh, let me see. Do. Phoenix Star, welcome back. Oh, thank you. I really am glad that you joined today. Um, I'm really happy a lot of you guys came. Uh, Legendary Danny says, I relate. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold slash allergies. Uh, I relate to the addiction to drugs. Been sober almost 5 years. I can use my phone a lot, but I can manage any doom scrolling well. Ugh, the doom scrolling is dude, it sucks you in. I've dealt with that shit too. And I feel like I get a lot of benefit from it, so I don't consider it an addiction. Um, though I used to use the internet way too much years ago in an addictive way. Right now, I feel like I'm developing a healthier relationship with food. So that's actually an interesting one too, an addiction to with related to food, whether it's like an eating disorder, if you're not eating enough, or you're like eating really unhealthy food that's making you sick. And the difficult thing about food is you need it to survive. Like, you know, you don't need like I ignoring like the withdrawal symptoms of alcoholism, you don't actually need alcohol to survive day to day, but food is a necessity. So that is like a very long struggle Like, I've dealt with eating disorders in the past and like unhealthy relationships with food, and it's very hard to deal with an addiction related to that because it's relevant all the time. Like, if it's Thanksgiving or somebody's like asking you to go out to eat, or you have to go out to eat with family, or somebody gets you like candy or something, like there's so much pressure because it's not like there's a holiday where everybody's smoking meth together. It's a lot. That was something that was really hard for me. So I'm interested how you relate to the unhealthy relationship with food. um Louis the Claw says it's mostly less prevalent, but I think it has come back due to prolonged stress with house hunting. Does that make sense? I've been managing my stress in a lot of good ways, but I'm tempted by the bad ways too. Like, I game a little, but a couple times I've been upset that I have to put it down for work and exercise. Yeah, that totally makes sense. As a matter of fact, one of the things that leads us to addiction is our triggers. And a big one of those is certain emotions that we experience. So for you, it's stress. And you've even told me house hunting is like the most stressful thing that you've fucking dealt with, in as far as like all the shit that's involved with it and all that stuff. So, which makes sense. Like, I've never had to buy a house before, and now like it just seems like such a task now. But having to go through that stress, it makes sense that being under all that pressure is making you want to lean towards that addiction again. I've actually taken time to write down, like, whenever I'm tempted to, like, this might sound silly to some people, but like, I've actually had a problem with weed before where it became like the only thing that mattered. Like, it was making me fuck up at work. I was like risking a lot of important things in my life by making poor decisions with that. So I think that I've noticed whenever I feel like smoking, sometimes I'll feel bored or I'll feel lonely, or whatever. And now I'm like, oh, let me go like hang out with somebody or call a friend or do something I enjoy. I'm not saying that always works, but those are some emotions I've noticed that makes me want to go back to that. So all that is to say, I get what you're saying. My unhealthy tendencies with food are just eating uncontrollable here and there. It's not even out of stress or boredom. It's just that some nights I hit a switch and I want to overeat. I'm doing okay with my diet overall, but certain nights, no. Okay. Well, I think that's just, I think that falls into the category of like misuse necessarily, like instead of addiction. So I think that's good that you're getting on top of that now. You know what I mean? And addictions, they start voluntarily. That's a huge thing. They start voluntarily. And then the addiction itself, like certain drugs, can reduce your ability to have self-control. And in general, the more you're doing it, the addiction can take over. So then it does not become voluntary anymore. That could be the way, genetics, environment, life experiences have influenced you. So how can you tell if you're addicted to something? We talked about feeling like you can't stop. It's a compulsion. So what memories come to mind that you might relate to this feeling? I've had times where I like wouldn't want to smoke weed. I'd be like leaving for work whenever I had like a good job, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to smoke right now. This would be a bad idea, but like I can't stop myself. So do you have any like instances where you feel like you can't stop yourself? How do you relate to that? Let me know in chat. Also, we talked about harm. We have physical and psychological. You could harm your organs. You could have like liver problems from drinking. If you're smoking cigarettes, that could hurt your lungs. Drastic appearance changes, like we're talking about disordered eating. Maybe if somebody's using meth, like things like that will cause drastic appearance changes. Or psychological. Have you ever heard of like an acid flashback? Certain addictions have a psychological impact on your brain. And for instance, I used to, like, I'm opening up again. I used to do a lot of acid, and now I will start hallucinating while completely sober because of the way it's affected my mind. Um, but not like, I don't have any of the symptoms of schizophrenia. It's a different thing. It's like a condition where if you've done hallucinogens, it affects the way your brain works and you can start to see things that aren't there. So I've actually had that happen um, a number of times. Have you guys ever heard of anything like that happening? I think I get Louis the Claw says, I think I could get addicted to substances, but I'm afraid of addiction because I've grown up watching my whole family struggle with nicotine and alcohol addiction. See, that's a very valid point, too. If you have a family history of it, that makes sense to have that concern. Um, and Louis says, I have had that with binge eating. I don't have those problems lately, but I remember shoving chips in my mouth and realizing my body was moving on my own. I didn't stop until the bag was empty. Holy shit. Yeah, it's actually scary how companies design snacks like that. Like if you think of like a Cheeto, it'll like dissolve in your mouth so you feel like you're eating, but it's making you hungrier because it's making your stomach produce more acids to digest and it's making you hungrier, but really you're only getting like a little bit of powder each bite. So they make you addicted to them. They make you want to just like keep consuming them the way that these products are designed. So junk food is very addictive. Yeah, I forget the name of that, but there's a name. Hallucinogen processing perception disorder. I had to copy and paste it from Google. That's what it is. Liberace says, I was bad with nicotine this past year. I couldn't make it through a class without a smoke break. Yeah, that's another thing that we're going to talk about, too, later is, like, noticing the bad, effects of your addiction and how it, like, affects you. Um, quick side note, actually, I forgot to go over basically, like, the outline of what I'm doing with you guys today. So I'm going to be talking about what is addiction, like when it's a problem, what are the steps to recovery, and then I'm going to go through steps of like how can you treat it. So yeah, how can you tell that you're addicted to something? Oh wait, oh just kidding, I already did these things. 1 second. I gotta look through my notes. And chat says, oh, I just want to make sure another thing is, and let me know if you guys relate to this too, having relationship difficulties, or you could have like lack of like just anything in life that's being affected by your addiction. Like Liberace said about how her school was being affected. You know, she had to like leave class. Maybe you lash out at people because you maybe they call out or show concern for something. Maybe you have a lack of energy to do the things you need to do. Like I said about I had poor job performance. There was one time I was working as a waitress at the steakhouse, and I was training with a waiter, and customers arrived, right? And I was talking to the waiter that was training me, and I said, "Hey, when should we take their order?" And the dude training me was like, "We just took their order." And he goes, were you doing bong rips in the parking lot? And the thing is, I did do bong rips in the parking lot before that. But it was a different parking lot, so, so that's my justification. Notice that making justifications or excuses for an addiction can be part of it. And that also causes issues with relationships, like if you're being defensive or lashing out at people who call it out, or withdrawing from people. So in what ways does like the way it affects your life, what does that mean to you? How does that resonate with you or somebody you know, and care about? Like for instance, if I smoke weed, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to drive to things. I don't want to hang out with people. I want to leave events early so I can go home and be high. Like I don't like that feeling of not wanting to be around people I care about because I want to, like, I just isolate myself. And I'm not trying to sound like a after school special with weed. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying for somebody with an addictive personality, just like alcohol, like, you're not a bad person if you drink sometimes, or even if you're an alcoholic, you're not a bad person, but it's not inherently bad on its own. I'm not trying to shit talk weed. I'm just saying for me that's something that I like so much that it fucks things up for me. uh but yeah, let me know if you relate to that kind of stuff. And you also want to think about, when might you consider consulting a doctor? You know, if you feel like you might want to seek out help, maybe you'll consider therapy, medication, detox, or certain things, even rehab. Um, and if you're deeply resonating with the things we talked about, know that not everyone is ready to seek professional help, and it's okay if you aren't ready. Or if you're not ready to take those steps yet at all. Or if you can tell somebody you care about or that you're concerned about might have an addiction, it may take time before they're ready to seek help. And that's part of it. Let me know what experiences do you have in seeing a loved one fall down a bad path? Um, Louis the Claw says, I used to withdraw more from people in order to play games. I did a couple gaming detoxes in college when I realized it was much easier to socialize. That's wild to think how much addictions can make us push away the people that we care about, you know? Louis, I know I said about us playing games together, like video games. Do you think that that would be a trigger for you if we played video games together as like a social activity? Could you be a social gamer, I guess, is a way to phrase that? Or do you think that's a trigger where you just feel like you need to avoid that entirely? I'm interested to know, because I want to be a good friend to you. I want to be a good influence. And I think that is the best we could do for each other, is just like, if one of us is struggling with something, you know, we're the Shorty Pop family. We're here for each other. So yeah. If you guys ever have any triggers or things that you don't want me to talk about, or certain words or whatever, you could always share that with me, or DM me. I'm always going to understand that kind of stuff. And as far as like seeing somebody fall down a bad path, you know, I remember it's unfortunate how much shame there is behind relapsing. When I was an EMT, and I was in training, I was going to a community college, and it took place in a hospital, and we had a patient come in for an overdose, and all the students came in, and it was almost like we were gawking at him. And I remembered what he looked like. I got a good look at his face, and later that day, as my class was ending, I was walking out. He got discharged at the same time, and we're walking out together, and I recognized him. And I said, hey man, like, I saw you in there. I know you're going through a lot of stuff, and I just want you to know, like, you got my support. And he was like, I needed to hear that. Like, I just feel like I let everybody down, you know? And it kind of brings me back to this, like, BoJack Horseman quote, where BoJack says, what if I relapse again? And Todd says, then you'll get sober again. You know? We're here for each other. We gotta be a support to each other. I think everyone needs that. So yeah. Let's see. Louis the Glass says, social gaming feels totally different. I think the kinds of games I play can be more or less addictive. Slow burn type games are the riskiest, like RPGs, online games. I could play a relaxing bout of Tony Hawk with a friend and walk away with only good feelings. Well, that's because you always beat me. That's why you feel good at the end of it. I still can't beat the high score you left on my best level on Crash Bandicoot. But it's a good challenge. And we'll play some more co-op games. Alright. Yeah, I love the dad emoji. So yeah, so now we're going to talk about the steps to recovery. I got this info from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So we'll get into the more technical terms, but basically, imagine you're unaware, then you want to change, then you're getting ready to change, then you're changing, then you're maintaining. So we're going to dive into that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk about little steps that we can do to help us. And I've actually implemented this shit in my life. Like, after I did research, I made appointments with my therapist. I set a sobriety date of when I'm going to get sober. I did a lot of journaling about my feelings about why I'm doing this and why I want to do this. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys and get your guys' insight on this stuff and hear how it might be helpful to you. So there's a pre-contemplation stage where you're like, the person isn't ready, they're justifying behavior, they focus on the positive effects of the addiction or the substance. They don't have any clue that they're dealing with an addiction. And the important thing is be patient with people in this stage. They may be reluctant to move to the next one because they've dealt with failure a lot of times. So has anyone ever shown concern for your well-being that might have been hard for you to hear, or how did you react? I know when I had to quit weed for my EMT job because they drug tested, I told somebody it gives me a reason to wake up in the morning. And my friend said, hey, like, I don't mean to, like, make you feel attacked or anything, but I kind of feel like maybe you're addicted. And I got really defensive and said, like, no, you just don't get it. Like, I'm just not explaining myself well. Like, you don't understand. That's not it at all. Like, I just couldn't face it. And then there's the stage of wanting to change, the contemplation stage. You think about getting ready to quit, and you know why it would be a good idea to quit, but it's hard to walk away from the things you like about it. So, guys in the chat, what experience have you had in trying to confront somebody about their addiction? And they're more likely to listen to your concerns if you're considering like an intervention, if you avoid accusing somebody or judging somebody or blaming somebody, you can help them go to the next step when they seem ready. Then there's the getting ready to change, the preparation stage. That's where I feel like I'm at. You have a sense of urgency for quitting. You've made steps. Maybe you're seeing a counselor. You're attempting to quit without a treatment center. And like Louie the Claw and I were talking about, triggers or difficult emotions can make you want to go back to old habits. So knowing what your triggers are or the common emotions you experience that lead you to these things is a part of this, like, contingency plan. Is that the word? So what are some dangerous emotions you experienced that led you down a bad path? Like Liberace, what made you want to smoke? Legendary Danny, what made you want to use drugs in the past? Like, what were you feeling in those times? Lily the Claw, you said about how stress was making you want to, overindulge in playing games. I talked about how, like, boredom or loneliness is something for me. Also, there's the, like, changing, the action stage. And this is when you've made significant changes and you're committed, the person is committed to staying on track. There's prolonged abstinence. They've seeked professional help. There's self-care and they know themselves. But the thing is, and this is, like, the most important thing, is you need to continue treatment to maintain this. It won't just maintain it on itself. And that is something I just did not know for the longest time. And I wish that I would have known it a lot sooner. But maintaining the maintenance stage, that's when you're working hard to prevent relapse. You're keeping up those positive, healthy lifestyles. And you don't feel the need to relapse as frequently. Like what Louis the Claw was saying. It's become less prevalent now. Legendary Danny, you've been wanting to eat less often. Things like that. Okay. Legendary Danny says loneliness and feeling helpless to change. 1 second. Okay. Loneliness and feeling helpless to change things in my life made it easy to turn to drugs or anything unhealthy. Still to this day, those things can get in the way if I don't keep up on things. Did you say you were sober for 5 years, I think? I think I read that earlier in the chat. Was that you, Legendary Danny? Yes. Okay. Well, I'm really happy for you for being able to do that so long and maintain even whenever it gets difficult. Liberace says, smoking has always been a social thing for me. I used to always be around people who smoked. That's that influence thing, that peer pressure. And sometimes that's part of it, is like being able to like be around people who understand, like, hey, maybe don't smoke around me, or maybe don't drink around me, because that's just not something I can handle. Like, people that love you and care about you and are worth being in your life will understand that. Legendary Danny says, if you feel like you can't make your life better, it's easy to go, oh, well, let's do this thing that obviously won't help. Yeah, that's how I felt whenever I felt like I was in a dead end. So yeah. Liberace says, if I'm around people who don't smoke, I tend to smoke way less, if at all. But when I'm out at a bar with friends and everyone goes out for a smoke break, it's hard to say no. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm very much the same way. Sometimes it's hard for me to not. I think in certain instances, whenever I am like on a sober kick, I'm pretty good at not smoking when other people are smoking around me, and I haven't had a huge problem with that, but it just depends on the situation, like where I'm at mentally. So, yeah, I think identifying those is really important, and I'm glad that you guys are starting to recognize what triggers that you have. Like, that's a huge part of it, you know. And how do you guys feel about your current ability to reach your goals in your life? Like, Legendary Danny, you were saying that when you feel like you can't be where you want to be, you want to relapse. So, or people in general will want to indulge in something to, it's like, as a form of escapism. So, how do you feel about your ability to reach your goals in life? Or do you feel like your addictions are getting in the way of that? You know, whenever you abstain long enough, that confidence can actually help perpetuate itself in the person, you know? And that maintenance stage, that could last 6 months to 5 years. You might need an abstinence of 6 months or up to 2 to 5 years just to help break the cycle. So, Legendary Danny, you fucking made the 5 years. Like, that's amazing. I hope someday that I can keep from being addicted to something in that regard, the way you have. I think that's really inspirational, honestly. I read that chat already. Another thing I feel like what really shocked me, and I was excited to tell you guys too. And I think this is oddly encouraging, honestly, in a way, is that relapse can be part of the process, and it's normal. It doesn't mean that you failed or that the treatment failed. The thing is you have to change deeply rooted behaviors, so it's really fucking hard, you know. And it's okay to take time doing that. And if relapse occurs, you know, you want to keep resuming the treatment, modify it, or try another treatment. You know, of course, certain things, like if you're doing heroin and you do a dose that you have, like, you use an amount that you used to use whenever you had like a higher tolerance, that could be deadly. Like, you could OD. So there's different levels of severity of relapsing. So if you're in recovery and you use a drug again, make sure you seek help immediately. Also, guys, little pop quiz. So, do you think that there is any way that addiction can be cured completely? I know that I kind of hinted at this earlier in the stream, but do you think that addiction can be cured? So we'll do, let's see what kind of emojis we got. We'll do a little poll. We could do turtle emoji if you think it can be cured, and we can do thinking dad emoji if you think, I don't know, I don't think that can be cured. So, turtle emoji for yes, it can be cured. Thinking dad emoji if you think it can't, if addiction can't be cured. We'll do a little vote. I think I missed some chats. Oh, Louis the Claw says, I think look like someone who's got it together, but deep down I always feel like I'm 2 bad days away from spiraling in a lot of bad ways. But I haven't spiraled at all recently. I have to remind myself that. Well, just so you know, Louis the Claw, if you ever, like, feel like you're about to engage in something that you're worried is going to be an addiction or lead you down this spiral, you can always reach out to me. I mean, I know that you know that, but just to reiterate, that is a fact. Legendary Danny, I'm pretty good at navigating, and thank you for also being so open about that, because I know that's not easy. You know, it's not easy to admit that we don't have it all together. Legendary Danny says, I'm pretty good at navigating addictions. I'm not really worried about relapse. I have no cravings, and I don't miss drugs or drinking or cigs or anything, so I'm lucky there. The AA people would not appreciate my confidence there, but I'm not stressing going, quote, just get through today ever. When things are bad, I don't consider drugs at all. Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Like, there was a while where I didn't like the amount of maintenance that AA felt like, but somebody told me that, like, that helped her from killing herself, like, having that community. So different things work for different people, honestly. And if AA isn't for you, if a 12-step program, whatever, if something isn't for you or doesn't work for you, that's okay. What works for one person isn't always going to work for another person. Louis the Claw says, I always relapse on coffee, though. That's valid, man. That's valid. I fucking get so many iced coffees. The above was most specifically about drugs. I deal with little unhealthy things, but nothing like that. Oh, okay. Louis the Claw says he doesn't think that addiction can be cured. Legendary Danny doesn't think that addiction can be cured. Liberace says, with a turtle. Oh, okay. So that is, so you think maybe it can be cured. Oh yeah, of course, Louis. Legendary Danny says the reason he doesn't think it can be cured is because I don't think someone can go back to using, but I think being functionally sober from drugs is like just as good as a cure. Okay. And Liberace says, my mom has gotten hypnotized to quit smoking, and it worked for her for a long time after a few sessions, something I didn't know was a thing. That's really fucking interesting. Dude, I want to get hypnotized. That's cool as shit. Okay, note to self. Try getting hypnotized. Does anybody know a hypnotist? I don't have a fucking pen. Well, yes I do. I'm writing that shit down. Hypnosis. I gotta get that Pokemon that has the fucking thingy. Who's that guy that does the thingy? The Pokemon guy. Abracadabra? No, that's the spoon guy. He's got the spoons. Who's that Pokemon? Hypno! Okay, yay! Oh, that makes okay, that seems so obvious now. Thank you. Alright. I missed a couple. Oh, Legendary Danny says, AA is great. I think it literally has the best success rates of any addiction model for alcohol statistics-wise, but it's a little much for some people. If you don't need it, you don't need it. Some do. Yeah, I don't know about the statistics on it. That's interesting, though. Liberace, I think maybe it can be cured. Kind of gray area, but I'm a way I think someone who has beaten their addiction deserves the turtle. Yeah, I'll fill you in on hypnotizing details later. It's way cheaper than a lot of stuff. Good to know, actually. That is cool. Legendary Danny says some people get better results from hypnosis. Like some people it actually works for, some can't. It's like genetic or some shit. I heard good things from those who it works to quit cigarettes. Oh. Well, I learned some shit today. Also, drum roll. So addiction actually cannot be cured, but it can be treated. So the difference between that is it's sort of like a condition, like a chronic condition. Think of it like think of it like ADHD. You know, you got to take your medication or you got to do certain things to help you stay on track. That doesn't mean you're never going to suffer from it or have days where it's a little harder than others. Or diabetes, you know, you got to eat healthy. You got to keep up with your insulin, checking your blood sugar, doing things like that. That doesn't mean that it's cured, but you've managed it. And that's what addiction is it you're managing it. Because even, you know, Londonderry Danny, you know, you have definitely earned the turtle in the sense of you're doing a really great job with what you're doing. But there's still sometimes that addictive personality might be a struggle for you in other aspects of your life, even if you're not getting those cravings. So just that predisposition can be something to manage, even if it's not the substance itself. Like, for instance, growing up, I was addicted to Neopets, like pulling all-nighters just playing this game. I couldn't think about, like, in school, that's all I'd think about. Like, I'd, like, not hang out with friends so I could play with Neopets. Like, it was like kind of like an addiction, honestly. And now that I'm addicted to something different, it doesn't mean that I've kicked like an internet or a gaming addiction. It just means that I have to manage being an addictive person, if that makes sense. So so now we're going to talk about how you can treat your addiction. So how have you tried to treat your addiction, and what worked or what didn't work? I'm going to check the chat while I wait for you guys to let me know about that. Louis the Claw says, everything I've ever obsessed over feels like it has its foot in the door, or even if I've gone a long time without it. Yeah, I get that. Dude, the convenience of buying shit on Amazon. I had like a definite problem with that during the pandemic. But now I like will put stuff in my save for later, and I'll be like, do you really want this? But during the pandemic, I like bought a $300 fucking Roomba without even thinking about it, and then I didn't even open it when the package arrived. I just felt so bad and like returned it because I was like, this is a problem. But yeah, so yeah, that makes sense about like anything you've ever been obsessed over. It's like it kind of feels like it's always there. So the steps to recovering. All right. We got journaling. Oh yeah. If you could get like a fun journal, check out this bitch. Fucking Def Leppard journal. I'm such a poser. I don't even really listen to. I know the pour some sugar on me thing. I've had this since high school, so that's my excuse. So journaling. You can make a list of positive changes that you want to make. What will be the good things that come from you getting sober? Like maybe you're saving money, you're seeing friends, you're staying healthy. How do you guys feel about the idea of journaling your feelings? You know, for me, the idea of getting sober, it will help me feel like I have more control over my life. And you can note the negative effects of your addiction, you know, and it may not feel good to acknowledge, but you think like, how has it affected you, you know, mentally or physically or socially or financially? So, you know, I withdrew from people. I talked about that. I spent more money. And think about like what are daily annoyances of your addiction. Like Liberace had said about having to go smoke cigarettes in the middle of class, or Louis the Claw said about how you wanted to leave hanging out with friends because you wanted to go home and play video games. I'm checking out your comments. Oh shit, the chat like blew up. Fuck yeah. Alright. Liberace says, I switched from cigarettes to vaping. I was buying disposable capes, which tend to have 50% nicotine. Very bad. But now I have disposable vapes, and I'm down to 15% nicotine. Well, good on you. See, that's cool. That's good you're cutting back. Louis the Claw says, detoxes. I've had successful detoxes with both coffee and gaming. I relapsed, but it gave me perspective and helped me understand and set goals. I don't think gaming is strong like a chemical addiction, so I've made it the lowest priority. With a little willpower, I could say no to gaming whenever there's a better social or self-care opportunity. Oh, I love that for you. I think that's wonderful. Liberace says, so I'm hoping to get 10% and then 0% to kind of trick my body into quitting, because a lot of the addiction is from muscle memory. Yes, I need to work on that. Louis Claus says, Liberace, my sister and mom both successfully lowered the nicotine that way. My mom got to 0%, and my sister 10%. They were both chain smokers. Man, I will say, those flavored vapes, deadass almost got me addicted to nicotine because they're so good. But then they don't sell them in my state, so now I didn't get addicted to it. Yay, I'm glad to hear it worked for somebody. Congrats to your fam. Thanks. Yeah. I'm really glad that you guys are finding ways to cut back. You know, also, you know, what's interesting, so you're talking about like gaming, you're talking about cigarette smoking too. Asking yourself, what got you addicted in the first place? So like Liberace, the first time you smoked a cigarette, or the first time you started to realize you were addicted to it, like where do you think that comes from? Like I know you said it's now muscle memory, but like from the start of it, like where do you think that came from? Excuse me. And also it's interesting because I was going to ask you guys, like, if you've ever tried to quit something, do you quit cold turkey or do you phase it out? Because Liberace, you said about phasing things out. Louis the Claw, you said about, or Danny, Legendary Danny said that he quit cold turkey. It seems like. I'm still figuring out what works best for me. Sorry, I keep feeling like I have to burp. I like devoured a chocolate chip muffin before this. And when you quit, like, sticking to that commitment, you know what I mean? 1 second. Oh, sorry, I missed a part. Boop, boop. Let's see. Legendary DNA says, alcohol I kind of phased out, which that makes sense. Like, you can't quit alcohol right away, because, or quit drinking right away because, like, you know, that could be dangerous depending on how much you're drinking. Cigs and weed were cold turkey, though I had 2 tiny slips in my final effort. Okay. Liberace says, I think I was dating someone who was addicted to smoking, and I'd smoked with them, so it started from being around my first boyfriend. Oh. Huh. Interesting. Legendary Danny says, I was more of a binge drinker than a daily drinker, so cold turkey would have been fine. Oh, okay, I see. I read then as then for a second, and I was like, wait, what? But I realized what you meant. Yeah, I just, like, got the letters mixed up for a second. But yeah, and obviously, like, if you are going to quit something, you would take any, like, medical or physical support necessary, like, consulting a doctor if you're quitting something like alcohol, because you get, like, delirium tremens or something like that. We talked about identifying your triggers. That's also something that you can journal. You know, maybe it's parties, it's certain people, passing by a casino on the way home from work. We talked about having certain emotions. And take note in your journal. Take note in your journal when you're feeling the need to relapse, and what you are feeling in that moment that's leading you to want to engage in that addiction again. And you can write down ways that you could fill your time instead of doing the addictive activity. You know, maybe a hobby, a club, a community group, exercising. What is something you guys can think of to do whenever you feel like you might be tempted to indulge in your addictions. I got little nature sound effects in the background, by the way. So, like, let me know what you think of that. Um, but, yeah, instead of doing that addictive activity, I got some street tires for my bike, and I'm going to start bike riding. So I'm hoping that that will help me, quit. So let me know what ideas you guys might have if you could think of something you might rather do instead of your addiction. Um, like visiting a friend or something like that. Let me know in the comment in the chat. I don't know why I pointed down here. The chat's this way. Anyway, exercising was big for me. I'm very fixated on that too, but I'm limited by what my body can do in a day. You know what? Actually, we were talking about like the lazy girl workouts where you like I'll lay down in bed and I'll just raise my leg up and put it down, and that's like my version of exercise where I could just lay down and like be kind of lazy but like be working out at the same time. So if you like go on YouTube and look up lazy girl workouts, it's really nice. Little recommendation if you're interested, if you're like too tired to do stuff. Louis the Class says, which is for the best. Going for walks was always nice to help me quit in the past. Oh, huh. That's cool. The lazy girl workout is great. It is. So we're getting towards the end here. We're talking about how to prepare now. So this was one second. So we were talking about journaling. My computer froze up. Okay, I need 1 second. My notes froze. Love the lazy girl workout. Yes, VI Falcon. I am fucking glad. I want to share this with everybody so everybody can be a lazy girl like me. So now as far as preparing your action plan, we want to seek support, which is why a lot of you come to this stream, because we support each other. You know, also check out some of the resources I listed earlier or in the YouTube description, the ally groups. You could turn to family, to friends, and let them know how much this means to you. Like a friend of mine knew I was trying to quit and said, oh, I got you this like paint by number mushroom thing where like you put these little gems based on the number. And he was like, you could work on this thing whenever you feel like smoking weed, and maybe that could be your other thing that you do. Actually, I'll show it on stream. I made this, and this helped me to quit weed for a while because it was a nice little acting. So shout out to my friend Ryan. His Twitch name is Game Nights. He gave me this to work on, and this is what I made to help me quit weed. It's like made of all these little sticky, these little gems that you put on here. And so, yeah, this is something I did to help me with my addiction. Ironically, I've also had a problem doing hallucinogens and doing shrooms. So, but no, I like this, and yeah, thought it was cute and wanted to share with you guys. Paint by the numbers. By numbers are the best. They are. I'm gonna set this down. There we go. Looks good. Thank you. Yeah. So, so letting them know how much it means to you, having supportive people in your corner, basically. You could join a program that shares your beliefs. We talked about if AA works for some people and not others. Who knows? And loved ones should be accepting of minding your triggers. You know? That's amazing. Aw, thank you! I'm glad that you like it. Aw, Scout's being cute. He leaned up on the picture. You want to be in the stream, bud? Scout says hi. You rearrange your environment. I have to talk a little softer because Scout doesn't like loud noises. Because ferrets' ears are very sensitive. But You rearrange your environment so you could get rid or hide all objects that go along with the habit or items that remind you of the habit, or replace those things with things that make you feel calm, like candles or photos or books or pillows or ferrets. Hi, Scout. Aw, people are saying hi to you. So what are some ways you like to make your space cozy or streamlined for getting things done or getting distractions out of the way? We know how we make things cozy here, huh, bub? I move my weed things to the cupboard instead of having them on my coffee table, so I'm not tempted. Oh, am I talking too loud? Here, I'll put you on my lap. But I'll move stuff in my cupboard instead of on the coffee table, so I'm not tempted to smoke with it being right there. So making it inconvenient to do the addiction. My friend had an addiction to porn, so he blocked porn sites on his computer. Actually, I have another friend who was addicted to porn and she had to block porn sites from her computer too. So, yeah, making it inconvenient. What are some ways that you've made an addiction less convenient for yourself to cut it out? Fuzzy Noodle, he is a fuzzy noodle. I'm not sure where he went. I was talking, he doesn't like whenever I talk really loud. But I have to project my voice for the stream. I cut down on bingeable food a long time ago. It really helped not having access to endless snacks. Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely not having that stuff easily available. Like, if you go out somewhere, that stuff will be there, like a gas station. But if you're not buying it and bringing it home, you're right. That does make it easier to avoid that stuff. So I think that's great that you found a way to cut back on that. Liberace says, yes, I used to give my cigarettes to a coworker, so if I didn't work with her that day, I couldn't smoke. That's basically what I'm doing with my weed. I left it at my boyfriend's, so now I can't smoke right now. Well, I have a little bit here, and I'll probably smoke a little after the stream, but I have my sobriety date set, so yay. K is okay. I used to be addicted to porn as well. I actually went into the host file on Windows and made all porn sites redirect to Rickroll. After Rickrolling myself the desire, she left. That's... Holy shit, that's amazing. I, like, want to print this comment out and, like, frame it on my wall. Because that's the best thing I've ever... I fucking love that. Somebody screen cap that and fucking that needs framed somewhere. I love that. I consent to this. I love that so fucking much. Liberace says that is the best way. LOL. All right. So, now we are into the action stage, biatch. It better be hanging when I visit in July. I fucking will make sure it is. What is the time code? 10307. Screen cap. Okay, hang. Comment. That way I'm gonna have it. There. Yeah, so, follow the plan you set. This is the action stage, right? When the quit day arrives, you gotta keep that promise to yourself. Keep doing the aforementioned things like journaling and reaching out to friends and keeping things out of sight and out of mind. Filling your time with positive experiences that don't involve the addiction. And continue to avoid your triggers, including people and places. As a matter of fact, making your quit date something important to you can also help. So, for instance, I set my quit date to the day after I'm celebrating Father's Day, so that way I could smoke that day. Because the next day, I'm going to be replacing an engine in an old school Firebird. with my stepdad. I really want to get into being a mechanic. This is a really important thing that I want to be sharp-minded for. I'm really committed to growing and fostering this interest in myself, and hopefully getting to do this for a living. So this is something really important to me because it's the first time I've really like extensively actually worked on a car, other than a time that I like helped change brake pads. So that's a big day for me. So I'm making that my sober date. That's the day that I'm gonna be sober, and I scheduled an appointment with my therapist right before that date so I could help her, so she could help me basically get amped up for it. And then I have a therapy appointment the day afterwards so I can update her on how I'm feeling after my sobriety date. So that's my like little plan of what I'm doing. Today we talked about stuff. We sort of like in a way journaled our feelings. So I really hope that that's helped. This is what's helping me. So yeah, follow that plan. And what are some things you might try to encourage somebody if they were determined to quit? What do you like best about what we've learned so far of the steps? What really piqued your interest? Like, I'd love to hear from you guys. Hi, Scout. Yeah. Also, when facing withdrawal, it may be tempting to indulge again. So this is in the prevention stage. You know, you want to have a plan or medications ready for if you start to face withdrawal symptoms, like heroin. If you're that could result in a painful withdrawal, so you'd need medication, or smoking. Maybe you're gaining weight and you want to have healthy foods around. Whatever could be something that you might need to help you cope with that. Make sure you have that. You know, what are some withdrawals you've experienced? It's weird. Some people don't take it seriously when I say about weed withdrawal, but like, I actually get nauseous when I quit. Like, I'll dry heave and throw up very easily. My insomnia gets worse. I get more irritable. So I have Zofran for my stomach. I have Ambien sometimes, or Benadryl for when I'm facing insomnia and it's really bad. I could practice deep breathing on my like Fitbit if I'm feeling irritable. So let me know how you might deal with withdrawal type symptoms. I'm gonna check the chat in just a sec. I just want to check how much. Okay, yeah, we're almost finished here. Let's see. I'm going to be the DD for my next trip out drinking with my friends, so I don't drink as much. Oh, that's a great idea, Liberace. Louis Lacroix says, I never thought about the power of journaling. That was the most interesting to me. Actually, that's surprising to me that you don't journal, because that actually seems like a thing that you would do. So I'm surprised that you don't already do that, and I'm glad that that is something that interests you. Liberace says, I used to drink more than my friends, so if I DD, then I can't. Actually, you DD'd for me at Virginia Beach, so thank you for that. And I was the DD at some points too, so I think we're a good influence on each other. Legendary Danny says, it's sometimes hard to eat after quitting a ton of weed. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. If you're used to the munchies. Huh. Yeah, so maybe having something that, like, is more appetizing. I guess you might run into the danger of eating unhealthy foods, but there's ways to make healthy food appetizing. K is okay says, oh no, I can be an asshole when on a tea break. The withdrawals are real. Is a tea break you mean THC? What is a tea break? Is that weed? But I'm fucking glad that you validate that shit, because thank you. Because, like, I feel like some people, like, don't take that seriously. You know what I mean? Louis Claus says, I like DDing. You were the DD for my birthday party when I got drunk enough to dance to WAP. I get to feel responsible, watch out for my friends, and everyone appreciates you. I appreciated you tons, Louis the Claw, and still do. Also, it's cheaper, lol. That as well. Oh, that's right. I'm going to hop off now. I'm getting a phone call from my brother. Okay, see you, Danny. Shout out to the dolls on the couch. Thank you. Tolerance break for weed. Ah, I see. Tolerance break. So some final notes. Some final notes are, remember you're trying your best, celebrate your accomplishments, do lots of self-care, and reward yourself for meeting those goals. Like, what are some ways that you could reward yourself for meeting your sobriety goals or quitting maybe something that's addictive to you? I like sharing my sobriety success with friends, even telling you guys, like, hey, I have this date set. And like reinforcing that date by like announcing it and telling you guys and feeling like I'm amping this day up, I'm gonna be fucking getting me some bubble tea and treating me to bubble tea for being sober, or go to my favorite cafe. So let me know if you guys have any things you would do to treat yourself for, abstaining from things you want to abstain from. Quick note, some professional help options. Cognitive behavioral therapy, you can find ways to recognize triggers and cope. Contingency management, that's the positive reinforcement and rewards. We talked about hypnosis, didn't know that was a thing. There's motivational enhancement therapy. I should have looked at what the fuck that was. I don't know what it is, but you can look into it. There's family therapy. That's especially good for young people and their families. That helps you focus on patterns or bad influences. And we talked about this 12-step program type thing, if that's your cup of tea. I'm going to wrap up here. What are your final thoughts? What might you try that we talked about? What did you think of the stream today? What were your favorite parts of it? Were there any stories that I told that resonated with you? Or if there's anything you want to talk about next time, let me know. As far as the streams go, I don't know how consistently I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be working on a marketing campaign for a company where I'm designing billboards, and I might be starting a new mechanic job, so that's going to be taking up a lot of time. I'll keep you guys posted, but I'm just not ready to make this a weekly thing right now. But I'm really, really thankful for all of you guys who came today. It means the world to me. I really hope that this helped. Let me know if you found this helpful. Thank you again for coming. If there's anything you want to learn about, definitely let me know. I just love hearing your final thoughts at the end of my streams to get a sense of what's working, what I could improve. So always love your guys' feedback. It means a lot to me. And you guys are always so kind and encouraging, and I love you guys. K is okay. Oh, wait. Louis the Claw says, I'm going to try journaling. I really liked hearing your perspectives as well as the Shorty Pop fam. Aw, I'm really glad that that's going to be helpful to you. Yeah, let me know how that goes. Keep us updated. K is okay says, yo, proud of you. Thank you. That means a lot. I'm glad I have people like you in my life that I could share my sobriety success with and the steps I'm taking and who are so supportive. Chad Zilch says, I'm glad you're back. Thank you, Chad. Liberace says, have a great night, everybody. Great stream tonight. Good night, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Do we have any of the stinkies here to sign off? I'll do one quick check. Are you under here? No. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. This will be on YouTube sometime soon. I'm going to upload it after this. Have all those delicious links of any support stuff, any sources I posted will be in there. You guys have a wonderful night. And, yeah. Bye, Pride Heart. Aw, the official Shorty Pop heart. All right. I love you guys. Good night.